So I went to my degrees in city and regional planning, so all this stuff is what I've studied.
Yeah.
So,
Good afternoon. We're going to get the last session started here, where we're going to be talking about marketing, kind of tying in everything you heard today and talking a little bit more about how we can market and recruit to these folks. My name is Streich. I am the communications manager for the Upper Minnesota Valley Regional Development Commission. Our office is located in Appleton, but we offer technical assistant services to the 5-county region of Chippewa, Swift, Lackaparle, Yellow Madison, and Big Stone counties. So kind of in a nutshell, what we do, Kevin explained it a little bit more what our agency does, but we contract with our cities and counties for any community and economic development assistance that they need. Whether that's grant writing, zoning ordinances, comprehensive and strategic planning, revolving loan fund, we work with the Small Cities Development Program. We have, I mentioned the revolving loan fund, or gap financing, and then we have a whole marketing department where we coordinate the Arts Meander, many of you may have heard of that, the Scenic Byway, and then the Prairie Waters Regional Tourism and Recruitment Program, which I'm going to talk to you about today. So, today you're going to hear from me. I'm going to talk about marketing and recruiting folks to our region. Sorry, this little pop-up came up. And then, most important, understanding how important it is to market not only for the job position itself, but also to market our area and the great lifestyle that we have out here to get those folks to move out here. As you can see up here, and Kelly hit on this a little bit this morning, the number one reason that folks are moving to our region, it's not for the job, it's actually for the lifestyle. So I'm going to share some tools and resources with you today that you can take home and utilize throughout your workforce recruitment process. So you're going to hear from me on that, and then I'm going to open it up to these three panelists. We have Kyle, Jack, and Bree that are going to share their stories of why they ended up relocating and coming back to our region and sticking around here. So we'll hear their stories as well. So to start off, Western Minnesota Prairie Waters, what is it? It is a program of the UMVRDC. It started back in the 80s of a small coalition of folks that got together and decided that, we need to do some more effort in marketing our region collectively, regionally. And then in 99, they put together a feasibility study. And then in 2001 is where we've had our voluntary funding from our cities, counties, chambers, and CVBs towards this program. This program has always started out as a tourism program. Over the last maybe decade, we've gone back and forth and trying to figure out how we can make it more of a recruitment program. So I'll hit on again kind of some slides here that Kelly had talked about earlier this morning. This is Ben Winchester. He works for the University of Minnesota Extension. So years ago, probably 15 years ago, he did interviews, focus groups of newcomers that came to our area, our 5-county area. And some of his findings that he found was with these newcomers is that they're moving here between the ages of 30 and 49-year-olds. And they're it's the folks that are maybe going off, getting their higher education, starting a family, and realizing maybe they want to move back closer to home and back closer to grandma and grandpa, or just have that slower lifestyle for their family. So those are the kind of the folks, the age that we were seeing that were moving back. And you can also see on here with some of his findings that the number one reason why people were moving back was for that simpler lifestyle. Number 2 was safety and security. 3 was affordable housing. 4, we have outdoor recreation, and 5 was the quality of our schools. So again, jobs doesn't even hit the top 5 there. And then you'll see our little Get Rule icon today. Sorry about that. This morning you had saw a map that Kelly had up on the screen, and it had all different little kind of branding, marketing logos of different folks in the region that are doing this type of work, this type of marketing. And you had saw our Get Rule along with our partners, the MN Bump, just north of us in Big Stone County. But we started out with this Get Rule initiative. This is our workforce recruitment initiative. It is kind of like a program of our Prairie Waters tourism. They were two separate projects, now they're one. We branded it under Western Minnesota Prairie Waters. But how the GET rule started was, it started out with Ben's findings, his research that was done about 15 years ago. He did the research, and then it kind of sat on a shelf for a while. We didn't really do anything with it. One, we didn't have staff capacity at the time, and we didn't have any funding to really do anything with it. And then in 2018, we received a grant from the Blandon Foundation that allowed our office to have some staff time to kind of dive back into Ben's findings and figure out kind of a strategic marketing plan of how we want to move forward in creating a new program to market our region. And that's how we came up with Get Rural. We hired a marketing consultant from Alberta, Canada that kind of did some similar stuff with us. So she helped us identify some goals, do some rebranding, and that's kind of how we got to here. So, some of the projects that we work on, one is our visitor and relocation guide. So you all have a copy on your table of our guides. They're a 2-year guide. We print about 25,000 copies of these guides. We're actually in the process right now of redoing the guides, so it'll be a 2024, 2025 guide. So we're gonna be starting ad sales this week, so if any employer or business wants to get into our guide, please do let us know. We have them at all the chambers and cities throughout the region. We have them at all the travel information centers across the state. We go through thousands and thousands of them down at the Mall of America at their visitor bureau. It's listed on the Explore Minnesota Tourism website, a digital copy where they get millions of people viewing their website every year. Sent out per request, so if somebody calls our office and asks for information on the area, that's generally the information that we do send them in the packet. Again, it's a workforce recruitment tool for employers. We have them at the technical colleges in both Canby and Granite Falls, where they were utilizing them in their student orientation packets. And then as I hit on, we also utilize them as workforce recruitment. And then we have our website. I'm going to show you guys a few things in a minute here, diving more into that. We're very active on social media, constantly sharing employment opportunities, attractions and businesses, and community events. We do a ton of different ads, whether that's billboard, online, Google AdWords, Facebook. We do a ton of different ads. We work closely with Explore Minnesota Tourism, where we do receive some grants to do some advertising to get folks to come out here to visit and to live. This is an example. I wanted to share this with you all. This is an example of a billboard that was placed. This one's in St. Bonifacius, but we did something similar in St. Cloud. And I was tracking the Google Analytics on it on the backside on our website. In St. Cloud, you can see where folks are from if they, disclose that on any of their information. But sorry about that. You can see where they're from. And St. Cloud was never the top 5. They weren't even the top 10 of people that were viewing our website. A week after we posted this billboard in St. Cloud, they all of a sudden were number 4. The number 4 area that was viewing our website. And then from there, it's kind of creepy. You can track and see how serious maybe someone potentially is about moving to our region just from looking at this billboard. So in Google Analytics, you can then see where they're from. So if it first showed that they're from St. Cloud, then you can see what page they clicked on next. So you can kind of trace the cookies and make a little avatar out of this person to really see how serious they're potentially about maybe moving out to our region. And I kind of have a whole report put together on that, or I'm working on right now, but you can see, did they then click on housing? Did they click on, education, jobs, childcare? Were they just kind of browsing communities? So it's really fascinating. And some people think billboards are old school, but I think they're highly, highly effective and cost efficient. And then we have our whole workforce recruitment. So one thing that I did during COVID, a project that I did was I interviewed about 25 large employers in our region and really just trying to pick their brains and figure out, how can we work together? What tools and resources do our employers need to market our place as a great place to live? Again, just not marketing the job, but marketing our place to live. We know working with our, chambers or CVBs that a lot of them don't have full-time capacity of folks that are doing this type of work. And that's really where this program steps in, especially at our county level and some of our city levels. So I interviewed these folks and just asking them, what are you currently using? What are some setbacks that you're hearing from folks during the interview process of why they're not taking the position? And then it was a great opportunity for me to sit down with these employers and explain all of this content that we've already have created for them to be able to utilize throughout their workforce recruitment. And I'll show you some examples here in a minute. Let's see. I do want to hit on a few things on our website. So here is our regional website. There is a ton of information on here, so I do highly encourage you to kind of browse on your own, but a few things that I do want to note. One is we have our kind of visit here section. We have a very robust mapping system, and it pulls up very nice on like your smartphone or tablet, but you can filter, it's going crazy on me here. These are all the places to eat in our region, and you can filter by cafe, bar and grill, fast food, whatever you may like. And then you click on the link, and then it'll actually, some of them will pull up a menu. Obviously during COVID, we wanted to make sure that we had menus for, my mouse is going crazy, I apologize. During COVID, we wanted to make sure that for our restaurants that we had menus available for folks, contact information, we had photos on there, links to their websites. So that was a very active web page, especially during COVID. And we have a mapping system. I think we have about 30 different maps on our website of places to stay, shopping, outdoor adventures, arts and cultures. So again, there's a ton of information in there. Please do browse on your own. Another section that we have is our Live Here. So this Live Here section, this was all incorporated with our Get Rural project that we did. Our Prairie Waters website always consisted of tourism. Again, because that's what our program was. But then we realized real quickly that we just don't want folks to come visit. We need them to stay. We need their taxpayer dollars. We want them to bring their families. And that's where we really built up this program and built this relocation and lifestyle information into our website. So all of these tabs have been new within the last 5 years. But one other project that we did, I call these community toolkits. They were actually a result of those employer interviews that I did during COVID. Those interviews, some of the data showed that these employers, they didn't really have much to offer to a potential new employee. So I wanted to make it super slick for them to be able to just have one link that they could send to a potential new employee with information from the city, the county, the chamber, the CVB, our information that we may have all together in one spot. So if someone's coming out here, they don't need to be browsing multiple different places. All they have to do is click on this one link and have access to that. It's not loading here for me. We'll try again. I can maybe explain it. It looks prettier than me just explaining it, but it has, for instance, like the city of Madison. I did one for each of our communities. So the city of Madison then would have, it would have all of the realtors, the housing realtors in there that someone could click on. It would have information on rental properties, information on the education, healthcare, employment opportunities there. We had stories, residential stories that we had put together. We also have some cost of living graphics that were really eye-opening for folks, and we did a whole marketing campaign around this as well. But we would showcase what a house in Madison would be, the price, versus what you would get in St. Paul, for instance. And then we'd also compare the taxes. And we'd also do the same for comparing, what childcare would be in our region versus what it would be in the metro area. So we did kind of a whole marketing campaign around our cost of living as well. But with this, sorry, you're not going to be able to see it, but with this community toolkit that I'm talking about right now, we have a lot of employers that are embedding that link directly onto their employment page. So if you have somebody that's scrolling on your employment page and they see a job, it's just an easy access for them to click on it and have access to all this livability information. We also have employers that are actually embedding it directly into their email signature as well if they're hiring. So that's another option, or just doing a blast out and emailing it out to potential new employees. We have a list of all the housing, like I talked about, listing all the rental, the realtors, talk about our healthcare, education, childcare, and then we have this Why Here tab. it's kind of neat. So this is pulling directly from the state's website. But what you can do is you can click on any county within the state of Minnesota and you can compare it to another county in the state of Minnesota. So again, it's comparing the cost of living, but you can compare what childcare would be, what food would be, healthcare, housing, transportation, taxes, and then there's a list of other too. So it's kind of interesting. And again, we've done marketing campaigns around just kind of showcasing that our low cost of living out here and the benefits of that as well. Let's see. And then we have a tab too for our communities, each of our members. So we are a membership-based organization, but each of our members has a whole page on themselves. So if somebody is, curious on, for instance, moving to Montevideo, we have a whole web page on Montevideo where they can kind of browse around and explore the community that way as well. My internet's not working the best, so I don't know if I'm unable to show you that either. Go. So this is just an example for the city of Montevideo. The beautiful wellness center. And we have residential stories as well. We actually have one on Kyle and his family, and he's going to talk about that here in a minute as well. But with that, is there any questions on our program or how you can get connected? Actually, I just thought of one other thing that I want to show you while we're talking about questions. Two things, sorry. One is our site selector. So actually, Kevin in our office works on this project, but this is pulling directly from the Location 1 information system. It's the lowest, it's the state's website. But one thing that our office took on was to work with our cities, EDAs, whoever it may be, to identify some developable and vacant buildings and properties and collect information on them and get them on the state's website where big developers are looking for this type of information. So again, just kind of trying to market our region with some other possibilities and opportunities. So this is one way we're trying to do it. Again, trying to encourage entrepreneurs, employers to maybe purchase a building or a vacant lot and move out to our region. In addition to that, we have an employer page. So what this is doing is this webpage is pulling from, I think right now we have about 15 different online job boards, whether that's D-Jobs, Monster, Jobs HQ. Unfortunately, Indeed has like a firewall or something set up. We're not able to pull from them, but we can actually scrape directly from some employers' web pages. For instance, I know Madison Healthcare, we're scraping directly from their employment page and pulling it onto our website. So then if folks are, browsing our region or they have that trailing spouse or whatnot, they can come to this web page, they can filter by community, click on a potential listing, and then one other thing that we did with this web page is we ran a whole bunch of Google AdWords campaigns around it. So if you aren't familiar with Google AdWords, basically you're paying for keywords. So on Google, if someone were to type in jobs in Western Minnesota, then a little ad will pop up with our website and information on there that they could click on. So we ran a whole campaign, actually all of this last summer. We ran another one just around that, really driving folks to this webpage. With that, do you have any questions? Any questions on the programs or anything? And one of the main points for me talking about this today is, with our employers, we have all of this information. We've collected it for I've been working with it the last 10 years, so it's at least 20 years of information collected that we want you to be able to utilize for your workforce recruitment. You don't need to start from scratch with any of this. We have it all available for you for free. Thanks to our local units of government partnering with this program as they see the benefit of this workforce and marketing to our region. So with that, any questions? Otherwise, I am going to hand it on over to our three panelists here. We have Kyle, Jack, and Bree, and they're going to tell their stories of how they ended up in our region and why they chose to stay. So with that, we're going to start off with Kyle.
Thanks. Yeah, my name is Kyle Boyens. I'm an account executive for a company in St. Paul called Emotrans. We're a global shipping company, so I try and find companies that import and export and convince them to use our services. My wife and I, Amber, who I met in St. Paul, she is originally from Madison. So by kind of a combination of circumstances, we moved from St. Paul to Madison back in August of 2020, so just over 3 years now. And the primary reason, really, I mean, the door was open through COVID because she's a dietitian, and once she was able to see her patients virtually, then we were kind of had the opportunity to maybe look at moving out of St. Paul. And then we got pregnant with our third, so then we're looking at childcare costs, and the situation was pretty clear we needed to move. So we kind of looked at all kinds of different options and ultimately settled on her hometown of Madison. So been out here about 3 years now, and it's been great. And I think that one of the things that in today's discussion that jumps out to me is really the child care aspect of it. In St. Paul, it was home daycare was impossible to get into. I mean, even if you had years in advance and notice, they were all just booked out. And then so we ended up in a center that we could manage with one kid, but I mean, it was just under $19,000 a year. So then they're looking at doubling that, and that wasn't going to work. So we looked at all the options, and now we're in Madison with multiple options for childcare, and we've got the hospital in town and grandma and grandpa, which those intangible benefits, you can't really put a value on that. So yeah, that's my story.
Hi everybody, I'm Jack Gottfried. I'm the Community Development Coordinator for the City of Montevideo. I am originally from Southeast Ohio, which is quite a bit of ways from Minnesota, but how I ended up in Minnesota, I went to Ohio State and I got my degree in City and Regional Planning and graduated in the fall of 2019. When I started applying for jobs, I landed a pretty cool position with the Peace Corps to travel internationally and go to Europe and do economic development work. I landed that in February of 2020. About a month later, the entire world shut down. So international travel was put on hold, and I started applying for jobs, and I landed one actually with the UMVRDC. I was their economic development planner for about a year. But I had never been to Minnesota before, have no family here, anything like that. But I figured, well, if I could go to Europe, I might as well try out Minnesota. So yeah, I've been here for about 3 years now. And what's kept me here, I mean, a lot of the things that have been said throughout all of these sessions, low cost of living compared to big metro areas, I think is huge, especially for someone who's a young professional trying to, save up for the future, things like that. But I guess what's really kept me here too is the kind of work that I do, the community economic development, and the role that I have now has really gotten me involved in the community and the region here and being a part of so many different initiatives and being happy with doing that work. So that's kind of a background on me and why I'm here.
Hi everyone, my name is Brianne Nelsen. I actually work for the RDC now. I've been at this job for 2 months, but what originally brought me up here, so I grew up in Southeast Kansas, so also not from Minnesota, and I went to school at Oklahoma State University. I graduated in May of 2020, so I had actually taken a job in Sioux Falls, South Dakota for Cargill as a grain marketing planner and grain buyer with farmers, and there was a big question mark. I got hired in February of 2020, and then the world shut down, and there was a big question mark if I would get to move or not. And they kept me on as an associate, and then they said, "You're going to Sioux Falls." I knew nobody and went to an apartment sight unseen and rented it. So that was a scary process too. But when I got to Sioux Falls, I was there for about 6 months, and then I quickly realized I missed the rural atmosphere. I grew up in a town of 2,500 people, and so I wasn't really wanting to go home. There was just a lot of things happening in the state of Kansas at the time that I was just really unsure of. So when I got a full-time role with Cargill in Madison, I instantly fell in love with the town. So my neighbors are so welcoming. The first week I was there, like 8 ladies showed up at my house, and I was like, what's happening? But it's definitely that rural feel of everybody cares, and it's the saying Minnesota nice is a real thing. I just felt really welcomed and loved, and you know, when I decided to switch careers here a couple months ago, I really had a passion for helping communities that are struggling, and I think that's especially in the younger generation, a missed thing right now. Just that feeling of being included. And so when the RDC position came open, I was pretty excited to apply and give it a shot. But yeah, I guess, you know, that's kind of why I stayed around. I can't say I love winter. I'm not sure if you ever get used to that, but I do love the people, and just being able to be outdoors during summertime and stuff is just a fantastic part of being here.
Thank you all for sharing your story. One last resource or tool that I want to share with you. These are on the UMVRDC, the website. But again, during COVID, what we ended up doing to try to help our businesses and employers is we contracted with Vivid Image out of Hutchinson for some marketing, and we offered to our employers some webinars. So feel free to go onto our website. All of these are recordings, but we have a ton of different webinars on here, whether that's understanding Google My Business. There's a whole explanation on that, how to speed up your hiring process and fill open positions. There's just some quick tips on some social media platforms and doing some advertising for job employments on social media as well. So a ton of information on there as well, just to utilize for another tool of something that we have out there. So with that, if there's no other questions for us, that is all we had.